Pride and Prejudice, chapter 6, third video. Well, I was talking about yield, right? So you should yield passage to the other car, right? The other car has preference. Okay, so that's yield. Take a look at this sentence, some context, right? She yielded, it's the same, sorry, but she yielded the right of way to the oncoming traffic. Next one. My neighbor won't yield to reason. A little bit different, right? My neighbor won't yield to reason. It means my neighbor won't give himself up to reason, right? He will fight against reason, and he will keep fighting against reason. Okay, there is a very nice quote by Oscar Wilde that is, let me see if I remember, the only way to get rid of a temptation, okay, get rid, like to eliminate, to destroy, let's put it this way, the only way to get rid of a temptation is to yield to it. Okay, so basically he's saying, look, if you have a temptation, go there and do what you are being tempted, you know, because this is the only way you can get rid of the temptation, all right? I don't know. I really don't know. What do you think about that? Okay, so in a given moment, Jane was yielding to the preference which she had begun to entertain for him from the first time. So she had a little preference, and then she was just, let's say, diving into this preference, and of course by doing so her preference is growing and it is becoming love. Well, I have some one or two questions here about this paragraph. Take a look at right in the beginning. The ladies of Longbourn soon waited on those of Netherfield. The visit was soon returned in due form. In due form. Probably you know due from other contexts. Please, which contexts? Answer. Well, so you have the due date of a bill, for example. The due date of a bill is the date, the last day you can pay the bill, right? Keep in mind your teacher can look at you and say, look, be careful because this homework is due tomorrow. One more time, the homework is due tomorrow. So you're supposed to hand in the homework tomorrow, okay? Due time. When you do something in due time, you do something in the appropriate time, okay? And then of course we have the definition here, which is close to this last one. In according with the right convention or courtesy. Appropriate. Due esteem. Okay? Due esteem. And of course we have the expression with all due respect. With all due respect. Oh, I put the expression there. With all due respect. Mainly when you're going to disagree with a person, you don't want to offend the person, you know, but you feel it may offend the person. So we say, look, with all due respect, I think you're completely wrong there. All right? So it's a way to mitigate the impact of your sentence. It's like, with all due respect, sir, no, you didn't pay me. All right? You don't have a receipt to present. Okay? There is a very nice movie called Anchorman, and the guy used with all due respect in order to offend people, and then he was saying like, what? I said with all due respect, why are you offended? You know, because that's the idea with all due respect, right? So I think he would say, with all due respect, sir, you are an asshole and you should die, something like that. And then people, I don't know, would look at him or say, and then said, what? I said with all due respect, as if by saying with all due respect you would completely eliminate the offensiveness of whatever you said, right? It's not like that, but the idea is close to that because it's a mitigator. Remember, mitigate. You have something very strong, and then you make it, less strong, make it weaker. So that's why we say, without respect, I think your idea is completely outrageous. All right. Well, that's without respect, but in here, it's still a little bit challenging, isn't it? The visit was soon returned in due form. It's still a little bit challenging because it's implicit not only the vocabulary, but the tradition, right? So what is the due form? The due form is, if I wait on you, you should pay a visit back. Remember, just like what happened in the beginning of chapter 2. Mr. Bennet was among the earliest of those who waited on Mr. Bingley. Alright? And then what happened in chapter 3, if I'm not wrong, or in the middle of chapter 2, well, it's not important. But what happened is Mr. Bingley paid a visit back. Okay, Mr. Bingley. So it's like there's a formal dynamic there, right? Okay, let me see if I have anything so far. No, I don't think so. Next paragraph. It may perhaps be pleasant, replied Charlotte, to be able to impose on the public in such a case, but it is sometimes a disadvantage to be so very guarded. If a woman conceals her affection with the same skill from the object of it, she may lose the opportunity of fixing him, and it will then be but poor consolation to believe the world equally in the dark. Jesus help us, right? What? So try to read this part again before I tell you, if you have the time, of course. All of the activities I propose here are, suggestions, but if you want, what is the equally in the dark? Why equally? The world in the dark? Why would the world be in the dark? And impose on the public. What are you imposing, or what is Jane imposing on the public? And there's this thing about the object of it. Which object and of what? Okay, this kind of thing I'm doing with you here is the kind of thing we have to go through when we go through more complex sentences. I don't know, maybe for you the sentence is okay, but the idea of having a tool like that is very nice. Okay, because of course there will be, I'm 100% sure, right? If you like literature and if you're going to read great literature, there will be a moment, I don't know if it now with this sentence, but or with other books, you have to use a technique like this. Okay, let me give you an example. I'm reading Montanha Mágica for my other channel, for the Portuguese channel, and I remember there was a sentence, and the sentence was just didn't make a lot of sense, and I read it and I read it and I read it. I read it like 3 or 4 times, and I was almost giving up, and then I remembered this very nice device. So what did I do? I start writing questions about the paragraph, so just the questions as the questions I asked you, and then by going back to the paragraph and trying to answer the questions and going back to not only the paragraph, the formal thing, the things that are on the page, but the reality the paragraph refers to, you know, using my imagination, etc. I could answer the questions and then reread the paragraph, and then the paragraph was not only very clear but beautiful. Okay, so try to answer my questions. If you can't, go back the video a little bit if you can't remember them. Okay, let's go, so answer, and let's go by parts here, right? It may be pleasant, perhaps pleasant, maybe, right? Replied Charlotte. To be able to impose on the public in such a case, what are you going to impose on the public? You are going to impose your will, right? I don't want the public to know about my feelings, so I'm going to impose on the public. I have self-control, right? But it is sometimes a disadvantage to be so very guarded, to be so very closed, to be so very protected. If a woman conceal, oh, I didn't put in our list conceal. Conceal is hide, okay? Conceal is hide. Concealer, face concealer, what is a concealer, right? You have a zit, a pimple on your face, and then you have a certain kind of product you put there, and it will hide the imperfections of your face. So that's a concealer, right? So if a woman conceals her affection with the same skill, with the same ability from the object of it, so not only the woman will hide from the society in general, but from the guy she loves, okay? She may lose the opportunity of fixing him, you know, of catching the guy. And it will then be but poor consolation, but poor consolation is just a very poor consolation, okay? It will be just a very poor consolation to believe the world equally in the dark, you know? So it's like, okay, all right, I lost the guy I loved, but the world, as well as the guy, don't know anything about my feelings. That will be very poor consolation. And of course, she is saying no consolation at all, right? Continuing, there is so much of gratitude or vanity in almost every attachment that it is not safe to leave any to itself. My question is, what is itself? Leave to itself what? The answer? Well, we cannot leave love to itself, meaning that we cannot leave love develop naturally, okay? Why? Because in relations in general, there is a lot of gratitude and vanity. So love wouldn't be strong enough just by love to get those things, all right? Vanity and gratitude would interfere. We all begin freely. We all begin loving freely. A slight preference is natural enough. But there are very few of us who have heart enough to be really in love without encouragement. Who is she referring to? She's referring to Mr. Bingley. Look, okay, he likes you, but he needs encouragement. So you have to deal not only with the pure love, but with gratitude, with pride. You have to take that into account as well. In 9 cases out of 10, a woman had better, so a woman should show more affection than she feels. Bingley likes your sister, undoubtedly, but he may never do more than like her if she does not help him. So maybe don't hide it. Okay, so that's the point. And then Lizzie goes, right? But she does help him on, as much as her nature will allow, right? She's not extravagant. She shows she likes him, but in the way her nature allows her. If I can perceive her regard for him, he must be a simpleton indeed not to discover it too. He has to be very idiot not to realize that she likes him. In our list, I put the definition for simpleton, a person lacking intelligence or common sense, and of course, I put a very nice picture of Homer Simpson there. It's easy to remember simpleton if we have Homer Simpson in mind.